Even a short browse through Steam today will grant you a look at an astonishingly huge array of different indie games to choose from. There's visual novels, horror experiences, and no shortage of games for all different flavours. It's a fantastic time for consumers who love to play games, especially with the AAA market getting itself into a worse and worse place over time. But, from a developer perspective, standing out amongst the crowd can be a bit of a concern. One path many seem to be trying to take is to be as unique as possible, making their game an experience that you won't be able to find elsewhere. Others, however, take an approach of simply doing what people love, but doing it well. Aura of Worlds is an example of the latter. Aura of Worlds on its surface is another 2D platform, dungeon crawling roguelite game, a genre that you probably won't struggle to find elsewhere, but I have to stress, it's still a game that you shouldn't overlook. I'm a huge believer in that not everything has to be reinventing the wheel. The tried and true genres from years past continue to sell well for a reason, so as long as the games are well made. Aura of Worlds presents you a roguelite experience with tight controls, beautiful pixel art, varied gameplay, and interesting bosses. It's worth noting that this game is still in early access, and so things are definitely subject to change within the near future. You start the game in a very simple way, entering a hub, going through a portal, and you're off. There's a tutorial option should you choose to experience it. It's hard to tell you what the setting of the story is at this time. There appears to be parts of the story being told each time you boot up the game. Maybe parts were told in different versions, but all I can gather for the moment is that some kind of experiment went awry, and may result in the splitting of worlds, which is how I'd assume each of our levels came to be. I can only assume this is a result of still being in early access, but I'm looking forward to seeing if a larger overarching story stems from this. Regarding the levels in a practical sense, they're all randomly generated layouts with a different selection of bad guys to beat up per stage. The Grotto of Guidance is a cave of relatively simple design given it's your first stage, a cave full of baddies. But already moving on to next levels, the Gnarled Garden and the Celestial Caverns had me super intrigued with its art. The Gnarled Garden appeared to be some kind of temple overgrown with poisonous flora, and the Celestial Caverns seemed like a tomb buried in the desert. Each had fantastic pixel art I couldn't get enough of, as well as the themed traps, enemies and bosses. Conquering one of these stages will allow you to progress to the Cold Crust Caverns, an ice-themed level which definitely pumps up the difficulty. I managed to fight my way to this point and take a shot at the stage's boss, but barely lost to it, so I didn't get the chance to try out the final level, but from the preview it appears to be lava cave themed. Each stage seems to have its own version of some kind of escape level, where you basically have to run or fall vertically and horizontally to find the exit and avoid some kind of disaster, be it a cave-in, impending poison, or avalanche. In terms of bosses, there are a good variety of those, multiple per level it seems. I've experienced 5 of them myself, and each feels unique not only in design but the way you defeat them. What I love about them is that you aren't just spamming your attack and dodging them until they're dead. One was an auto-scroller, so you had to run and platform as you fought, another would constantly heal unless you destroyed certain hidden items, and these made finding each new boss an exciting endeavour. They really felt like part of the stage. Like its guardian, rather than just another hurdle before I got to experience the next stage. The music was great, each song felt fitting to the respective stage, plus a panic-inducing theme for the escape stages. But I can say the serene tunes of the Gnarled Garden had me particularly charmed. It was good stuff, not much more to say here. As with any roguelike game, there are a number of factors that make each run you play completely unique. Beyond starting over and the levels being laid out differently, your character can look and play differently each time you start a new run. There are a range of different weapons and spells to explore, and each run lets you choose from a few different loadouts to optimize how you play. The main weapons to choose between are sword, dagger, spear, crossbow, and hammer, some of which you may need to unlock. Each provides unique ways to beat up your enemies, but I can say that some definitely seem more favourable than others. The crossbow allows you to shoot from a distance and fire in any direction, which is great at disarming traps, but in the way of damage can leave a bit to be desired. The hammer works like a sword, but it's big and slow, however it seems to allow you to smash armoured enemies a lot easier. The spear gets you good mid-range, but it's essentially just charging and poking at your enemies. It's also not that fast. While each of these is pretty unique, and can be fun to give a go once round, if I want to make progress, I'm choosing the sword or dagger every time. Both the sword and dagger have your standard swipe in front of you, a good arch, good coverage, but short range, which can usually be covered in that by spells and sub-weapons. Simple, but effective. If it works, it works. It's a little hard to tell the difference between them, but I can say for sure that the dagger allows you to throw it and can boomerang back to you. This allows you some range, albeit somewhat inconsistently. I can't confirm this, but my assumption is that its downside is that it does less damage than the sword, and possibly has a slightly smaller range. There are also a bunch of spells / sub-weapons to accompany these. Such examples are a boomerang to stun enemies, a thrall spell to take control of enemies, a frost spell, a force field, and a blink ability to teleport yourself short distances, among many others. These cost mana, which I seldom seem to run short of in the game, but I may not be utilizing these spells enough. I tend to favour something simple like the blink ability. Beyond the weapons and spells, there are still more ways to make your character stronger at the beginning of each run. This comes in the way of backgrounds. Basically, different stat presets you can unlock to give your character a different feel in every different run. You can play through the game guns blazing and bloodthirsty, a magic specialist but a little weaker physically, or a tank, taking less damage but foregoing the amount of potions that you would otherwise hold in return for a bulkier body. And this is only to name a few. To add to this, during the run you'll come across different buffs called runes giving you a range of different abilities each playthrough. These can include better vision, in the dark, double jumps, and reflective dodge rolls. My absolute favourites to get each run are the Vampirism rune, which allows you to recover a small amount of health for each enemy you killed, and the double jump, very hard to beat more platforming control and survivability. These are the factors that help this game continue to feel fresh every time you play, as well as maintain a constant sense of accomplishment, as these can only be unlocked slowly after each time you die in a previous run. It's not like you can just choose between any or unlock them all at once. Each has its own unique unlock conditions after which they will be available for coins, but not the normal coins you collect during the run. This currency is granted to you each time you level up, so you're encouraged to kill as much as you can, collect as much as you can, explore as much as you can, and progress as much as you can to get these coins. As you level up, the more perks you can get for a follow-up run. Also pets. You can use coins for pets. They're purely cosmetic but fun, and definitely the first thing I bought. I should also mention that the game supports a very minor character creator. You choose your skin tone and armor color. A fun little addition should you want it to look a specific way, but I'm happy just to let it randomize. I'm too small and pixely to notice half the time. This leads me to my very few minor complaints. This game in basically all its parts is a fun ride with a lot happening, and unfortunately things can be a little hard to notice sometimes. The UI is incredibly neat and well organized, but the text can be a bit small. There are notifications for things like the hunter appearing to chase you down, or you using a potion, or the room filling with poisonous gas that appear on the bottom left of the screen. But in all honesty, I never really noticed it. Then you get blindsided a bit later by some unexpected death being dealt. Yes, I'm getting older, and maybe these old eyes are failing me, but I feel like it might be a positive to make these a little more noticeable, possibly a sound alert or moving them to the middle of the screen or something. The escape level music is the main reason I noticed that I have to book it in these levels, otherwise I'd have died a lot more. Granted, I became used to this as I played more throughout the game, so to veterans it's probably barely an issue, but when I first started it was definitely a recurring thing. The UI elements being small also extends to the health and mana pools. While I never seem to have an issue with mana, I'm constantly forgetting how many potions I have and losing track of how much health I'm losing. Maybe I should pay more attention? But with the health so small and tucked away in the corner, my eyes are just drawn enough to check frequently. Again, you get used to it the more you go, but it may turn away someone new to the game. Besides, there's only one very minor thing, but it drove me crazy. In the hub world, you press up to interact with things, which for some reason seems too easy to press while trying to get to the main portal. I was constantly accidentally opening menus without meaning to. Maybe the interactable places are too close together? I know the mirror is right near the ladder, and trying to jump from there into the portal, I opened that thing up a ton. Again, very minor, probably won't affect most people, but it got me. And that's my basic summary of the early access experience of Aura of Worlds. It's a game that takes the roguelite genre and refines it to a point to make each playthrough a fun, intriguing, and challenging experience. From its traps to its bosses, this isn't a game you can just breeze through. You need to pay attention and be cautious. While exploration and combat is rewarded, you also don't want to be taking too much damage. It's a constant balancing act to make sure you get the most out of each run, to ensure that you get a lot of experience to make your next run even better. There are so many different options to allow you to play through the game in any way it suits you, allowing your strengths and covering your weakness, or conversely, playing into your weaknesses purely for a fun, chaotic, or challenging run. These different options keep things feeling fresh, and adding small cosmetic upgrades allows for fun and motivation to keep playing. The art is beautiful and the music is fantastic, and I'm eager to see more levels to come, including the lava level I haven't yet reached. It does what most roguelites do, but that's fine because it does it well. Besides fixes for a few minor complaints, the main thing I look forward to from the game going forward are more levels to be bewitched by, and hopefully a story to get myself lost in. This is a game I'd absolutely recommend and can't wait to play more of. The Tuesday review was provided a code for this game by the developers free of charge for review purposes, but the opinions expressed in this review have been entirely our own and we have not been paid to endorse this product. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more of this, please like and subscribe.